Hey guys, this is a roaming CPA. So I watched this video last night by Raul Pal. Um, this is I've been watching Raul since 2016, so it's been 8 years. I've seen him. I've watched a lot of his content, hours and hours of content. I don't want to go into the merits of him. He does sell side research, right? So sell side research is he gets paid by whomever's paying him to sell whatever product he's selling. Um, so right now, it looks like right now his biggest provider of funds are these Bitcoin people in the Solana group. He's bringing out sell side research that can justify Solana and whatever crypto tokens are out there. With that being said, ignore what he's selling and you just look at his thesis and determine whether his thesis is rational or not. That's where you get the benefit. Always understand, am I do whoever I'm watching, are they selling me sell side research or buy side research? Side research, you typically have to pay for it, and for somebody, you're buying the research in hopes to understand what the other person is, what knowledge the other person has. This is sell side research. With that being said, the title of the video is "You have 6 years to make as much money as possible." I don't disagree with him. The whole argument is like, look, majority of the United States is a service-based economy. Okay, we sell services. What kind of services? Services with knowledge ingrained in it. So we're selling our knowledge. We put a paywall on our knowledge. Go that way. Like for me, I'm as an accountant. I sell my knowledge of taxes and tax planning to clients in the hopes that they receive the benefit. What he's saying is like, look, like AI is slowly taking over that aspect, and I can't disagree because right now I'm using Chat CPA to advise clients, and man, it is what used to take me 2 to 3 hours with the research. I get the same answer in like about a minute, and I can give it to the client and then move on. Level of like not like how fast it is, it's really great. Obviously, right now, you need a CPA to interpret whatever the AI is saying to see if it's valid. But what he's saying is like in 6 years, you won't need a CPA. Like the AI will be smarter than the CPAs, and you don't need a human with 140 IQ to tell you because the AI will have around a 400 IQ. In that situation, like, are you going to trust the human being with 140 IQ or the AI that has 400 IQ? So what happens is that service-based industry basically becomes free because you have all these AIs that can do the work basically free, and you don't need all that infrastructure to support these professionals, accountants, lawyers, doctors, pharmacists, all these people. You don't need that much infrastructure. What I mean infrastructure is like office space. Okay, you don't need computer equipment for them. You don't need furniture for them. You don't need cars for them to transport back and forth to work. Like there's going to be so many aspects of our life that are not going to be because these human beings don't are not needed anymore. Like there's this one video of Christine Gard, and you will. One thing you'll know about me is I'm really good connecting dots of like videos from like multiple years. That's what I'm trying to do in this whole YouTube channel is like provide knowledge that you don't have to be really worried about what I'm trying to sell you because I'm just trying to document my thoughts and just like and show you guys how I connect the dots. I think I have a unique way of connecting dots, and I just want to share it with the world. Okay, so let me pull this up. What's crazy is I can actually
change a bandage. We make basic necessities, whether it's healthcare, education, food, and I'm going to give you these services for free, but you don't get to choose which services. So it's a different approach. Don't suggest this is the solution.
Okay, so this is the IMF director. So by the way, this is she was at the time the IMF director. Now she's the head of the ECB creating the central bank digital currency for euro. Okay, so she's she she is, all intents and purposes. Man, I have like a lot of reservations about her, but then he is this guy who has, you can read his book 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, and his ideas of technology are very scary, but they're coming to light. I would read his book, but what they're about to say is very important. It has like every day I think about it because it's so scary, but I cannot like unthink this. Okay, so I'm gonna let you listen to it.
I just discuss it because many experts are exploring these avenues. I think the main point that I'm trying to make, like in the new book, in 21 Lessons about call it universal basic income or universal basic services, the real problem, I think, is in the first word, universal. Mm-hmm. Most people, when they think universal basic income or universal basic support, they actually mean national. They actually think in terms of, okay, you have all these unemployed taxi drivers in New York or coal miners in Pennsylvania, and at the same time, you have a booming AI industry in Silicon Valley. Let's tax the big Silicon Valley giants and use that money to give support or income to the unemployed coal miners in Pennsylvania. Right. But this is national. The really big question is what will happen to people in other countries, because the automation revolution will probably have a completely different impact on different countries, on different economies. Some economies will boom because they will be the center of the automation revolution, and actually a lot of industries that went out will come back. And then other countries might lose everything. Their economies might completely collapse. So the question is not whether you tax companies in California to pay basic support for people in Pennsylvania, but whether you tax companies in California to give basic support to people in Bangladesh or Honduras. That's the real challenge. And we need to think, if we are going to think in terms of universal basic income, we need to seriously understand what the word universal means. It doesn't mean national.
But that requires a complete change of governance or paradigm or whatever you want to call it, because that universal support service or income, whatever you call it, will require a universal taxation mechanism and reallocation based on empirical evidence of who is suffering, who is benefiting, and how you want to sort of reallocate value in order to avoid chaos.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be extremely difficult. I'm just making this comment because you do hear a lot today about universal basic income or universal basic support as the solution to if we don't manage the automation revolution very well. And my concern is that most of the people who are discussing it think in national terms, but the worst imbalance will not be between different parts of one nation, it will be between different nations. It will be like maybe the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century, only much worse. That in the Industrial Revolution...
Can you develop that?
Yeah, in the 19th century, you had a very small number of countries leading the Industrial Revolution and getting, at least for a couple of generations, most of the benefits, and really dominating and exploiting much of the rest of the world. And most countries...
colonialism and all of that.
And most countries remain...
So watch this part, okay? This is the most important part. Watch how he talks about colonialism. Oh my gosh, I can't pronounce it. It's so sad right now. But what I'm trying to get to is, like, watch what they say, like what is about to happen to everyone. This is so critical. This clip is like the biggest clip that shakes me to the core.
Far behind. And the same thing may happen again with the AI revolution. And you have today some countries which are at the forefront of the automation revolution. And many countries say basically, well, we have much more urgent business than worrying about this. But this is like, you live in 1840, somewhere in South America or South Asia. And you hear that in Britain, they have these things like steamships and railroads. And when you say, oh, I have so many more urgent things to worry about than these steamships and railroads. 30 years later, you're a British colony. And this is the situation we are here now. The main difference is that in the 19th century and in the 20th century, the biggest threat you faced was exploitation. They will conquer you and exploit you. In the 21st century, there is actually a worse fate, potentially a worse fate awaiting you.
Watch this. Like, watch what the worst fate is and see the audience reaction to the worst fate.
You will not be exploited. You will simply become irrelevant. And being irrelevant in many ways is much worse than being exploited. When you're exploited, at least they need you. When you're
See, they're laughing. They think this is a joke. Like, this was in 2018. I don't think they're laughing now, 6 years later. Okay? So, like, you see Christine Lagarde, she's laughing. At least they need you, right?
irrelevant, that's much more difficult to struggle against.
That takes us to the data, doesn't it?
Yeah, that takes us in the direction of discussing what's happening to the data.
Yeah, what's happening to the... And I think you say in your book that who owns the data owns the future.
Mm-hmm.
And those happy few who own the future.
See, the happy few. You and me and whoever is listening to this channel, we have to be the happy few, okay? We have to be the happy few because we need to learn how to control the data. Data is the gold that we have to control.
The data owner and the data processors and the data miners and all the rest of it will have a very happy life, whereas the rest of the others will be this precariat out there, eventually useful a little bit, but irrelevant most.
You'll be useful for a little bit. Okay, she's literally telling you straight up how you're gonna get screwed.
Of the time, unless they're given that universal basic support so that they kept the rest of the others will be this precariat out there, eventually useful a little bit, but irrelevant most of the time. Unless they're given that universal basic support so that they kept happy and quiet.
You see that? She wants to keep you happy and quiet. I mean, like, they're straight up telling you, like, what's going to happen right here, okay, with this AI revolution. But we are ignoring this whole thing, okay? And, like, watch what he says.
That's one scenario again. We are not sure, but what we can say is,
see, like, a bunch of BS. He knows. Both of these people know. At least she's being intellectually honest, Christine Lagarde.
Far greater certainty is that data is becoming maybe the most important resource of the 21st century. In a way that land was the most important resource in ancient times, and machines and factories were the most important resource in the 19th and 20th century. And at present, we see that almost all the data of humankind, both on the level of the human body and the human brain, it's being concentrated in a few places. And most of the world, you can say, is already in the process of being kind of data colonized. Mm-hmm. That the data is flowing from all over the world to a few hotspots.
So our data primarily is held with Microsoft, right? And they're only releasing the AI, right? Google has their own AI. Facebook will have their own AI. And in the United States, these three organizations will primarily control all the data, house all our data for us. And now the financial data, where is that going to be held? My inclination is I believe that it will be held in Ripple and maybe Stellar Foundation. These two organizations will hold all the financial data. That being said, we have to realize that this is happening, and we cannot.
If you're not making $158,000,
we cannot just go passively these next 6 years and realize that, hey, like our data, I have nothing to hide. They've programmed us to think that I have nothing to hide, so our data is of little value, but our data is the most valuable thing that they're taking from us for free. We're not putting a value to it, and they're going to use it against us eventually. So they're using that data to create the AIs to where we're needed right now, and then once these AIs have come to full maturation, the demographics, especially in the Western societies, where a majority of the knowledge is held with baby boomers and they're retiring, and millennials and Zoomers, there's not enough of them who are qualified to do a lot of the work, and we'll need these AI entities to do a heavy load of work that's outstanding that the boomers are going to leave us. So the AI, with the boomers retiring, okay, they don't want to be in the, like, they're not, they were the ones that went to the office. Millennials and Zoomers don't want to go to the office, and these AIs they don't need office space. They need servers, but servers don't need to be in the cities, and they definitely don't need to be in high-rise buildings. They can be cheaply farmed out, right? So commercial real estate as a whole has been showing this, right? Now we're seeing a decline. We're seeing a decline that we haven't seen since '08. I haven't seen anybody on YouTube talk about this chart. Like, we're literally in a decline. Like, not like a 2020 decline. We're like in a real decline in commercial real estate. Residential will follow, but this is like a sign that AI and automation is coming, and people are not coming back to work. Given how, and I feel like these prices are going to come lower given how high the interest rates are. Commercial real estate will have to be priced down substantially. Okay, in my honest opinion, I think you'll be able to buy real estate for free. I've been saying this for years, and in a later channel, I'll talk about how you can buy real estate for free. But I have clients who do it on a regular basis. There's multiple ways of doing it. There's not just one way. You can slice this chicken multiple ways. So I wanted to share this idea that, hey, look, you have to start figuring out how to make a serious amount of cash in the next 6 years and work your tail off. I don't think after 6 years humans will be as useful as we are now. Right now, to be honest, like, I can see how AI has substantially improved my quality of life in the ability of answering client questions. I can only imagine how accurate it will be 6 years from now, and how much it will control. I don't even know if, like, I'll need people to prepare tax returns because AI will do it and I'll just have to review it. So that's where I see the world going, where a lot of people will become useless. They will not be needed at all. So you figure out, like, how to make money and what your life will be like once AI comes about. It's coming. So trying to retool and reskill right now is pointless. Just make as much money with whatever knowledge you have, and then get ready for this, because I don't think a lot of people will, and they'll be enslaved by the digital currencies. Okay, that's all I have for today. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.